Alright everyone, today is the day Wonder Woman 84 comes out on HBO Max. Merry Christmas everyone. I got my DC fandom shirt ready, I got my Justice League popcorn bucket ready for the popcorn, and my Wonder Woman 84 action figure. I cannot wait to see this film. The last movie I saw in theaters was 1917 back in February. So I've seen some movies, including Tenet on Blu-ray, but this will be the first new movie experience on streaming for me and many others on HBO Max, and I cannot wait. I hope it's wonderful. I'm a supporter of cinema, but it's not safe to go to the theaters right now in my area. So this is a nice experience, enjoying a new film in the comfort of your own home. This is the beginning of a new era. I'll tell you all about it after I see it. I just saw Wonder Woman 1984 and it is wonderful. If Wonder Woman 2017 was Superman the movie, Wonder Woman 1984 is Superman 2. At least that's the way I look at it. Patty Jenkins not only makes a film that's connected to its predecessor, not only connected to the DCEU, but she makes a film that's entirely different. Much like Tim Burton's Batman Returns. As a matter of fact, it has a lot of characters, much like Batman Returns. Overall, Gal Gadot is perfect as Wonder Woman. She is Wonder Woman. I've been happy with her casting since the beginning, and she is even better in this installment than she was in the original Wonder Woman film. I love seeing Chris Pine return as Steve Trevor, although I don't think he was very much needed. But we also have new additions such as Kristen Wiig as Barbara Minerva, aka Cheetah, and Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. He makes this film. He is so great as the villain. He really kills it in this role and brings us a new type of villain in the DCEU, and also a captivating villain, which is something I didn't think they quite did in the original Wonder Woman. And that's something they do in this. We get to see his motivations and why he does what he does. And in many ways, it hits you at your heart. This film does feel cheesy though. It is silly, it is comedic. A lot of that is seen with Jeff Johns as the screenwriter. It very much has that theatrical Justice League feeling about it. But in many ways, there's a certain charm like the Richard Donner Superman films, and that's something I love, that it does feel like a film that could have been made in 1984, and I think they do that brilliantly here. It's epic, shot in IMAX, and Patty Jenkins really does more with this film as far as scope. It is an epic feature that may have been enjoyed more at the cinema. I got to see it on HBO Max, my first streaming experience. I enjoyed it. You pause, you go to the restroom, you can eat some popcorn. I do miss the big screen and sound of the movie theater, but I have to say, it was quite nice watching this at my home and getting to watch it endlessly for 31 days. Overall, I'm not going to go into spoilers right away, but it is a film that does have its share of flaws. It has a deep message of hope, though, that's very much needed for the year we've been through. Some of the stuff in the first two acts are a bit sloppy, especially pertaining to Steve Trevor, dealing with all these characters and balancing that out, as well as making this about Wonder Woman. It's different because the first film was an origin story, and in this film, it's not an origin story, so you have all these characters to balance now, returning characters as well as new characters that are introduced. Overall, does it have the flow of the first film? No, not really, but by the second half of the film, the story kicks into high gear and it really hits you at your heart. There's some iconography here that's wonderful, no pun intended, pure Wonder Woman. Whether you're a fan of the comics or the Linda Carter show, it definitely has that feeling that the Christopher Reeve Superman films had with its iconography, and I absolutely love it. It goes back to traditional Wonder Woman. And Cheetah, I like how they set her character up. Kristen Wiig starts off as this kind of nerd. I call it the Edward Nygma syndrome. She's very much like Jim Carrey in Batman Forever, or even Jamie Foxx in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where you start off with a nerdy character. It's kind of obsessive, kind of alone, and then they become a villain. As a matter of fact, one of her main villains. And I love seeing Cheetah in live action. I wasn't sure how the CGI was going to work, but they managed to make her look kind of creepy. And I like what they did for the screen time that she did have. I liked seeing Cheetah finally in live action. As a kid, I always used to love seeing Wonder Woman and Cheetah fight on the Super Friends. So it's kind of cool seeing that in live action, as well as the golden armor from the comics. That was so cool. It was nice seeing that in action. Even though Wonder Woman didn't use her sword or shield as much, we got to see some stuff with the tiara and the lasso of truth, which kind of gave me some Spider-Man vibes in this, I have to admit. But overall, despite that, despite some shortcomings and nitpicks I have, I don't want to be one of those people complaining about what I would have done, but it would have been cool to see some more fun in the 80s, some retro tracks, music, stuff from the 80s to make it feel more like the 1980s. It did have the look of the 80s, but it felt very much like a parody where I kind of wanted to feel like pure 80s. That being said, Hans Zimmer brings an incredible score, among one of his best works in recent years. It definitely gave me some Gladiator and Lion King vibes in some parts, and of course, he brought the brilliant Wonder Woman theme back in action. I love seeing how heroic Diana is and the struggle she has to go through. They kind of go through that Superman 2, Spider-Man 2 theme of like wanting something and having to give it up to do what's right, you know? And that's something that's carried since Superman 2. So I think that's what makes it feel like a superhero sequel in many ways. Was I a bit let down? I was kind of, but it definitely does pick up and it does have its strong moments, even though I personally prefer the first film. So, ending the non spoiler section, I would have to give it a 4 out of 5. I highly recommend going to see it, whether it's safe in the cinema or in HBO Max. Wherever you can see it, definitely check it out, especially if you're a fan of the first film and you're a DC Comics fan. That being said, I have some spoilers to talk about now. Spoilers! I actually like that opening in Themyscira. Some people are like, it's not needed. Maybe not, but I like it because it shows Diana wanting this thing, not having the patience to obtain it the right way. She's not the person that she's meant to be yet, but also there's a whole theme of desire and wants and wishes. And I think that perfectly plays through early on in Diana's character at the beginning. I also like seeing Robin Wright back and Connie Nielsen. That was nice. I love the scope, the IMAX cinematography at the beginning. Overall, I kind of wish Wonder Woman visited Themyscira again. That would have been kind of cool. But then we jump to the 80s, and then this is where it totally feels like the Christopher Reeve Superman. I love the mall stuff. It's cheesy, yeah, it's silly, but there's just something about it that's just like classic Wonder Woman. If you watch the TV show, and speaking of TV show, yeah, there's an invisible jet, man. They actually bring the invisible jet, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I love the mall stuff. I love what it sets up. And I have to admit, when Steve Trevor was announced to return, I thought it was going to be like Hades using his soul, kind of like Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat or something to get to Diana. I really thought that was going to happen. And I like it. You know, you have Christopher Palaha as this handsome guy who I guess Steve Trevor pulled like a quantum leap and heaven can't wait syndrome where he's inside this other person's body, which is cool, but I want to see more Steve Trevor. I really did not think he was needed in this movie. I'm like, I know why he was there. I know the story plot points he was there for Diana, the motivation, but I don't think he was really needed. Like, it really bummed me out that they did not resurrect Steve Trevor. Like, just go big or go home. Bring it all or nothing, you know? And that kind of upsetted me, but I did like the moments of time they had together. Him being a fish out of water, but not completely a fish out of water. I love the stuff with Barbara Minerva. You know, she is very awkward. I said earlier, it's Edward Nygma syndrome. And it very much is like that. And Pedro Pascal is great as Maxwell Lord. I mean, you even get some references to Simon Stagg. Yeah, the dude in Batman Arkham Knight, I know. But yeah, he's a cool villain. We see his motivations, and that could be any one of us, you know? We all have wishes. We all have desires. We all want to make life better for ourselves. But it shows that absolute power corrupts absolutely, you know, and that truth will set you free in the end. There's a theme there throughout the whole film. And again, this reminds me of Spider-Man 2 and Superman 2, how like Superman wanted to become mortal, live a life with Lois, not be Superman, but he had to basically give that up in order to get his power back and protect people. Spider-Man had to give up what he wanted the most in order to do what's right. And there's a certain theme there with Diana here of wanting Steve Trevor back and then needing to let go of that wish to basically save mankind. And I love that because that's something that's a flaw for her that she has to overcome and makes her more powerful in the end. But Pedro Pascal really makes it. He hams it up. He's a pure villain. But we understand his motivations. It makes him a very sympathetic, charismatic villain. And I like it. It's much more of a better job for a villain than Ares. Ares was cool. I liked Ares in his final form, but he was just an old geezer there where like this villain is actually like a freaking straight up villain and I like it. And Cheetah is actually a physical threat for Diana, and there's some physical violence there. There's actually a threat that can measure up to her strength, and I like that. That White House sequence is fantastic. But Pedro Pascal, you have to be blind not to see the parallel to Donald Trump. I don't want to bring politics into it, and he's really just a madman. You could put it in any time, but he's fucking Donald Trump, man. Like that theme, that was definitely one of the influences, let me tell you, as well as like egomaniacs and other things like that. And being told that this is wrong or being told that it's lies and him not believing it is definitely relevant for our time. And with everybody going crazy in the year, I'm like, man, maybe there is a stone out there that did all this shit in 2020. Anyway, despite that, I really love seeing Maxwell Lord. You know, besides some cartoons and TV shows, we haven't really seen him, and this is a new rendition of Maxwell Lord. Cheetah, I do wish they had the whole Curse of the Cheetah element from the comics. It takes some embellishments with the Cheetah character. I wish we got more of the relationships fleshed out, but I do like the stuff that's there. Overall, for me, the first half is what really is the hardest to get through. It's very comedic. It feels kind of slow. On second viewing, the film goes by very fast. It's almost like it's a long film, but I don't feel like very much happens. I can't explain it. Despite my nitpicks, though, I love Gal Gadot in it. I love the action. Once the story kicks in and like Maxwell Lord starts becoming the stone and granting people wishes, the film just kicks it to another level. Diana becoming weaker. I love the whole twist there with the wishes, with a trick, you know? That was interesting. And the whole setup to the White House, the kind of end of the world scenario, kind of gave me some X-Men Apocalypse Watchmen vibes. And with 1984, it would have been kind of cool to see, like, I don't know, Steve Trevor arrive in World War I clothes and go like all Terminator since it was in 84. But other than that, I did like the way stuff looked like the 1980s and what they did there in the DC universe. But that whole last act, the third act, is epic. And that's what saves the film for me. I was going to give it a 3 out of 5, but a 4 out of 5 really kicked in with that ending. I love the final fight. I think with this film, despite it not being a theatrical experience for me, I think a lot of stuff was given away in the trailers, and that's what kind of did it in for me on some sequences. That's why I think I like the second half more, because a lot of the stuff in the first half was shown in the trailer, so I've already seen it. And I do like it. I do like how they brought back Chris Pine, even though I wish it was actually Steve Trevor. I like it because he's gone. But he did get more time, and I like what it does for Diana when she finally finds a strength, starts flying. That's what she needed to move forward. And you can see how it may connect to BVS. You know, they have that song, When a Beautiful Light Kicked In. I was just like, whoa. I thought it was in a title like Bruce Wayne's parents getting shot during all that confusion, but it didn't. But I loved it because we were talking about truth. Great parallel there and how it ties into the DC universe. Maxwell Lord, the scene there and the scene with Steve Trevor saying goodbye, I almost cried. Like, seriously, like, the relationship between Maxwell Lord and his son is so compelling and just almost heartbreaking in many ways that this man feels like a loser. He needs to get power, but then it's never enough. He needs more and more of it. And that's perfectly conveyed here. And I also like what Wonder Woman does. You know, she's actually challenged spiritually and physically in this film. I love that part with the fight with Minerva, that whole White House sequence, and he's just like, how much did it cost you? And he's like, I could ask you the same thing. And Wonder Woman has to reflect on that. How much did that wish of getting Steve Trevor back cost her? And that's something that everybody has to ask, you know? And I just love the message of hope in this, and also an analysis of everyone's suffering. Everybody does wish for a better world. Everybody does want the same stuff. And what happens when we get this absolute power? Could we be as evil as Maxwell Lord, you know? And that's something that's very compelling in this sort of like history of 1984. I just wonder if anybody else in the DC universe remembers what happened here. Like, you had like an X-Men Apocalypse scenario here, but overall, I love the themes. Like, such a heartbreaking ending, and the third act is what really made the home run for me on this film. All the way to the end, I don't know if Barbara Minerva renounced her wish. I don't think she did. So it should be interesting to see how that plays. That ending is very much like a Superman ending. And who could forget the after credit scene with Linda Carter? She's the one that actually wore the golden armor originally, and I hope they team up in present day at the end. And I'm missing a lot of stuff here, but those are just my brief thoughts, spoiler-filled, on Wonder Woman. There's a lot to unpack. I definitely have my reservations. I don't want to be one of those people that just nitpick stuff and just be like, here's how I would make it. And it's like, no, you have to look at stuff at how it is, not how you would make it. So as a movie, it definitely has its flaws. It's not a perfect film, but it's an enjoyable film. A film that maybe kind of disappointed me just a little compared to the first. But like I said, if the first one was Superman the movie, this is definitely Superman 2. The theatrical cut of Superman 2 definitely has that vibe. I had some Superman 2 Batman Returns vibe. I don't know if it's a Christmas or what. And yeah, it was interesting seeing Christopher Palaha here. I don't know if he's going to be a future love interest. Of course, if they go chronologically, he'd be a lot older by the time it gets to present day or even BVS. So it should be interesting. But I hope to make one more Wonder Woman. I hope theaters are safe so we can have a big cinematic close to this trilogy. Can't wait to see what Patty Jenkins does with Rogue Squadron. And overall, it is what it is. I don't know how I'd rank it with my DC films. I'm going to have to rewatch Birds of Prey. It's definitely above Justice League and Suicide Squad, but I still think I like BVS, Shazam, and the first Wonder Woman a bit more. But overall, for any diehard Wonder Woman fans, people who are aware of the current world right now in the political spectrum, and people who grew up in the 80s, I think you would enjoy this film very much. It is a nice throwback. It's a lighter film, and it's very much a comic book film. And what can I say? It's great that we have a Wonder Woman sequel and another Wonder Woman performance from Gal Gadot, who is just perfect as the character. Overall, this film I actually enjoyed more the second time around, despite my reservations about it. It is a film that feels faster the more you watch it. And it has its moments, and I have to say, for the first streaming experience, this wasn't bad at all. So yeah, we'll see what comes our way in 2021. Those are my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below. What did you think of Wonder Woman 84? Did you like it? Did it meet your expectations? Were you disappointed? I'm kind of a mixture of things, but overall I liked it. I still like the first film a bit more. But let me know down in the comments below. You can also follow me on the Stardust app at Fred Film Fanatic. You see my Wonder Woman 84 reaction there. You can also follow me on Instagram at Fred Film Fanatic. In the meantime, you can check out these videos on my channel. Till next time, I'm going to go over my top 10 films of 2020.